Smart 24, driving business.
Well, it's already 8 a.m. and we are in the second hour of Smart Men's Business, your daily kickstarter, hoping that you're already at work, or maybe for some people work maybe starts at 9, hoping you're already on your way. But of course, don't forget that we are here to give you information that is really interesting. Actually, if you want to know business, what is happening in the business world, we have variety, we have sports. I mean, it's a full package right here. But anyway, just to remind you that the markets on ZAB are going to be open just 10 minutes from now. That is 8:15 a.m. So whether you have a button phone, whether you have a smartphone, I realize the button phones we shall talk about that later. But anyway, if you want to invest in government bond securities, you can invest as low as 15,000 Ghana shillings. Just dial 292. Just dial star 292 hash, and that is their USST code. You can learn about the products, or if you know what you want, just get straight to the bond. So investment is as low as 15,000 Ghana shillings, and of course, Monday to Friday, Zabo is operational, unless it's a public holiday, which I don't think we have. This month, we are wrapping up the month, and of course, in all the public weekends, Zabo is operational. So when it clocks 8:15 a.m., you can knock onto their doors. It's going to be open from to 3:15 p.m. And of course, powered by Outex East Africa, they're telling you to do something new. It's the year 2023. Well, of course, I know it's a Monday morning, and of course, some of you are really not really in the mood for work. I know how it feels. I know how it feels, but then don't forget that we got you. Smart Men's Business has you sorted. So let's get inspired for today. The secret of getting ahead is getting started. I know you have a lot of ideas running through your mind. Over the weekend was the time for you to actually maybe sit and think about the secret of getting ahead is getting started. So you gotta start making action on whatever plan that you have in mind. I mean, why not really implement it? I know, very many, when you sit down, and have free time on yourself, that's when you get to think. But then, of the many things you've thought, what is the one thing you feel that you would really actually implement? Instead of thinking, it's good to think. You can think all you want, but then what is that one thing that you've thought about that you think probably in the situation that you're in the economy that is squeezing us, what is that one thing that you thought about? You're like, oh, I think I need to start up this business. I think I can do it. Or you've been having these hair products and you feel like your hair is looking good and fine, you could start by that. Start by helping out a relative or if you, and never know, you will get the market, because one person starts spreading the word. At the end of the day, it's the whole community, it's the whole nation knowing about what you do. So whatever you're thinking, implement, okay? And from me, Masikatsime, quote of the day, inspiration for the day: treat people well. Treat people well. I know it's a Monday and people are giving in their reports, the deadline is running, but treat people well, okay? Whether you're a superior, whether you're below, treat people well. Whether it's a cleaner or what, treat people well. Say good morning, courtesy. Say good morning doesn't remove anything from me if you say good morning, how are you doing? They need it, okay? So that is even if someone has not been talking to you for a while, just don't create enmity. Just say hi. And if someone has been having an issue, they'll be like, oh, okay, this is interesting. She said hi. Oh, what should the entire reply back? Doesn't take anything from me. So that is it for today, as we are getting inspired. So get that idea implemented, okay? Get started today. And when you produce the seeds, you'll share code with us. But anyway, right about now, I'm joined with Andrew Barija, and let's go. We're still talking about the impact of natural disasters in Africa, and of course, especially on businesses.
Yeah,
we've been talking about the recent floods that are happening in Kampala. When it rained on 20th of September, it was a fateful day for most people. Cars were being swept away like a Vera, or just run. You're like, what is happening? And of course, we've seen in the papers that people should prepare for El Nino. So I don't know.
Yeah, that is something that communicates quite a big thing. I mean, because we already have roads in a very poor state, and accompanied with the heavy rains, of course, coming along, and they actually create a much more. They make the situation.
About the drainage systems.
The situation much more worse. Yeah, the drainage systems actually. We're experiencing scenarios where actually rains. Recently, I saw a branch in Bugolobi that got flooded with water. We've seen people's shops. I attribute all this to the drainage systems. But of course, I would still want to say floods are unavoidable, because even the nations that we look up to that seem to be out there, they also get affected by flooding. It's just nature. It's something. Sometimes when the rains get they get too much. But of course, still with the estimation of we see that Africa experiences loses about 28 billion US dollars annually. 28 to 48 billion US dollars when it comes to the damages that are being, the damages they cause, the aspect of repairing these damages caused by the natural disasters. Africa spends 28 to 48 billion US dollars, and that is quite big, because looking at a population of about 1.4 billion people, we contribute quite a big percentage to the world's population, and that money could actually be invested back and create a number of jobs for the people in here. Now, of course, we know that there is also the aspect of the loss of agricultural production, like we experienced it way back. That was in the east, when we've had floods, that is across the mountain, Elgon, Elgon, we saw people's livestock being lost in that. So the entirety of the production is quite, very key when it comes to the losses that are being incurred. Now, of course, we've seen governments often spend significant amounts of money that is on disaster relief and reconstruction efforts, of course, which relates back to the amount of money of the 28 to 48 billion US dollars, and this can divert resources that is away from other important areas that is of public spending, such as education and health care. At the same time, of course, we cannot neglect that, and Africa is one of the most vulnerable continents to climate change, and the continent is already actually experiencing a number of climate change impacts. that is including there is rising temperatures, and that is across Africa, which are rising at a faster rate than the global average. Now this is leading to more extreme weather events such as heat waves, and droughts, which are being experienced in those areas. And of course, we see that there is this aspect of the changing rainfall patterns, these are across Africa, and they are becoming more erratic and a little bit unpredictable. And now this is making it much more difficult. That is for farmers to grow crops and for people to access the necessary water for agriculture use. Now, the sea levels rising along Africa's coastlines, of course, are also leading to that, indicating coastal communities and people are being displaced as a result of that. Now, climate change, bathing these hazards that we see most especially when it comes to the rains, and that is something that is that needs to be addressed by the people out there. And now we see that governments are really spending in a lot when it comes to the damages that are being put out there. And that is increasing that dependency on foreign aid. Because actually we saw the incidents that happened in Morocco, part of the money that is going to help to reconstruct the entire, the most affected areas, it's going to be coming from the aid. So literally these disasters, the fact that we are, unlike those nations, the reason as why actually those nations got developed to that extent is because of such challenges they actually experienced. So because we've seen some places like in Japan where they construct buildings that have shock absorbers in them, that they can actually absorb this. This is not something that is typical of Africa.
Yes.
And once it finds us a little bit unaware, unprepared, because we are not used to by the virtue of where we're located. But now this is a scenario whereby we are starting to experience these events. We saw Libya, Morocco, I think even Algeria had some sort of that. The Horn of Africa also experiences some sorts of that. We see, I think even South Africa at the same time. So that really explains and tells you what is really happening in there. Well, I guess now we can really take a look at the ratings when it comes to how much is being lost. We can have some statistical information that is relating to that to see how much is being lost as a result of these natural disasters happening to Africa. As we proceed this, we have some graphical statistics in there indicating that. Now we see that the World Bank expects that an average annual economic loss from natural disasters in Africa is between 28 billion and 48 billion. That is, we are talking about an annual perspective. Now we can see that in 2019, the Horn of Africa experienced a severe drought that affected over 20 million people, and the drought caused an estimated $13 billion, that is in economic losses. So you can really see that is something that is affecting the gross domestic product of the nations that are located around that particular area. And in 2020, cyclonic, we see Aldai hit Mozambique, Zimbabwe and Malawi, killing over 1,000 people and causing an estimated $2.2 billion in damage. That is Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Malawi. Those are nations in the southern Africa. And we can still see that according to the African Development Bank, climate change could cost Africa up to $50 billion per year. That is by 2030. That is a reality. By 2030. So 7 years to 2030. And we're already experiencing an impact of some sort. Insurance companies, last time when we, the incidents that happened in Morocco, they spent about, I think it was 170 million US dollars. That is quite a lot of money, paying out to that. And that is something which I believe, I mean, there was, for them to be in position to actually clear that, I believe there must have been some sort of a subsidization of the sector. I believe it's just my, okay, according to how I see things, I believe it wasn't entirely that the insurance companies actually had the ability to refund back these people.
Yeah. I mean, the insurance companies, they also invest the money somewhere.
Somewhere else.
Yeah, somewhere else. For them to have that quick cash, what? That's a lot. And of course, many people had invested in insurance in Morocco are insured. So what does that mean for the rest of Africa? That means we also have to have insurance for such disasters that come. And of course, with the climate summits that are happening.
Climate summits.
Yeah, climate summits that are happening in Africa. You know, this is a lot of money. So how about by 2030 we could have done something?
By 2030.
$15 billion. That's a lot of money.
At least we can put this less up to about, of course, we may not entirely get rid of it, but we can reduce it by at least 30%.
Yeah, 30%.
You know, 30%. That is if we actually working together. Yeah, but you know, we're already having these perspectives of integration. We are trying to see how we can integrate. And well, I believe when we have this, because what is really making us to spend more is that once an issue happens in a nation, that nation, can I say, face it as them. But we have that joint financial economic support amongst the different banking institutions. That is with support of the African Development Bank. I really feel we can mitigate this, because once I'm on my own as a country, I'm going to be forced to get aid, and that aid which comes with of course cost in terms of terms and conditions, you know, and those terms and conditions are as a result of exploiting my natural resources. That means the money I was supposed to get in them, I'm sending it up. I mean, I'm not going to get the money I'm supposed to get when I actually mine these resources and sell them abroad. The conditions are, I give you this aid, I take your resources.
And we've been reading today in East Africa, we see Kenya exporting horticulture, the flowers and avocados to Netherlands. So what they do in Netherlands, they also export.
Netherlands also exports with value added.
Yeah, with value added. So I really
actually they may not really export with the value added, but the only advantage is
at a higher price.
They have a much more command.
Yeah, much
when it
more
comes
command
when it comes to determining global prices. They can set trends of prices.
You know, it's actually funny how they said Kenya is the 6th largest country to export avocado, but then Netherlands is the largest exporter of avocado, yet they have never had any single tree of avocado.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's the same applies to Germany, I think, when it comes to cocoa. No, like not having that experience of fertile soils, but they really do that. Why? It's because technology, they have invested in agro-technology basis, and you know, and they are really exploiting that, you know, because they know that we don't have the best, so we have to find a way we can actually manipulate this out. But once they manipulate this out, they respect value addition. Something which the President of Uganda is actually advocating for in almost most of his speeches when he's actually addressing the nation in regards to agriculture. That is, if we had to experience something much more different, because we have the quality when it comes to the natural quality. But you see, the world market is a little bit, because when we talk about natural quality, because when you add value to that, you can preserve it. And another challenge we're experiencing is we don't have storage facilities as a result of that. You know, how long can we? So you see, when you link all that up together, it all comes back to a joint effort by the African nations to see how we can mitigate this. We agree by 2030, at least we shouldn't be climate change. The effects of climate change shouldn't be costing us 50 billion US dollars. Well, you're still watching Smart Means Business, your daily Kickstarter for the day. Of course, today is a Monday, the 25th of September. And of course, welcome back from that weekend. Hope you had really fun in there. But of course, the bigger picture is that it's a new week. We need to focus and see how we can actually, devote better when it comes to business progress. You know, I know last week, I don't know what happened to your business. I don't know what happened to your workplace, you know, because now speaking to those people that are pursuing careers. But above all, you get to relax, then set pace for the coming week, because the bigger picture in that is that we need to have a wonderful livelihood. I understand there is a lot of politics that is happening out there, and lots of events that are happening. But remember one thing, the more, if that becomes your center of focus, well, that might have an effect on you in the long run. But you need to focus on you and your family and also your generations to come by setting up those long-term investments. And that's why ZAB is here for you to tell you that you can actually invest in government bonds and securities for a fee of just 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Now, as I speak right now, just 10 minutes back, the markets were already in operation. Star 292 hash is the USSD code that can avail you those options. Now, these bonds are as low as 15,000 Ugandan shillings, although you can still choose to invest more than 15,000 Ugandan shillings. But Zab says, well, let's grow together. First bring 15,000 Ugandan shillings and we shall see the rest. Now, at 8:15, that's when the markets open, and they run all the way to 3:15 p.m. Monday up to Friday, apart from the weekends or the public holidays when these markets are not in access. But of course, that's not the big deal. You have the rest of the days to capitalize and make money, something which I believe it's key and important when it comes to your financial growth and development. And that's why Zabo comes out and boldly tells you, well, it's my money, it's my future. And also East Africa tells us that, well, we got to do something new for ourselves. Remember, it is 2023. Well, now we'll take a break. And of course, coming up is sports business and business entertainment. And of course, today we're taking a look at the movies that were making money over the week.